Well, it's been a sombre but lavish state funeral for Russia's first democratically elected president, Boris Yeltsin, underneath the golden domes of the Russian Orthodox Christ the Saviour Cathedral in the centre of the Russian capital. Boris Yeltsin's body's been lying in state. He died on Monday of heart failure, aged 76. Thousands of ordinary Russians have been filing past, lining up for hours to pay their last respects to their country's first president. He was a deeply controversial figure. This is the man who essentially oversaw the demise of the Soviet Union. Now, he brought democracy to Russia, but he also brought a great deal of instability. And because of that, his legacy for many Russians remains very much in question.
He probably did much for the country, but we personally didn't feel any benefit for ourselves.
Yeltsin was part of an important era in the development of the nation. He is an historic figure.
Well, there were a number of foreign dignitaries attending the ceremony, including at least two former US presidents, Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush, Bush Sr., both of whom worked very closely with Boris Yeltsin when they were leaders of their respective countries. This has also been a very religious ceremony as well, and that's significant. In a eulogy written by Alexei II, the Russian Orthodox Patriarch, read out during the ceremony, he said that this was the first time in 100 years that Russians had been able to bid farewell to a Kremlin leader from a church. And perhaps that's a really symbolic aspect of this ceremony. It's taking place in a church. It's a real break from the Soviet past. Boris Yeltsin will be laid to rest not in the territory of the Kremlin itself, but in a cemetery in southwest Moscow, the Novodevichy Monastery on the banks of the River Moscow, where cultural figures, playwrights, writers, musicians, architects are usually buried. That was Boris Yeltsin's wish, to be buried amongst the cultural figures of Russia and for it to be a break from the Soviet protocols of the past, as his policies were a break from the Soviet Union. And again, this a final opportunity for the people of Russia, no matter what their feelings about Boris Yeltsin and what he did to the country, what he did to the Soviet Union, to bid a final farewell to a man who was, beyond any debate, a pivotal figure for Russia and the world beyond. Matthew Chance, CNN, Moscow.